Welcome back to the Serpent Method Manifestation Podcast. So, in today's School of Magic episode, we are going to talk about how you can use symbolism in magic to manifest anything. And this is basically going to be a cheat sheet for you to understand how to use the proper symbolism for any magical working or rite that you want to do. Okay, so if I were you, I'd get a pen, I'd get a paper, I'd get a little cozy drink and sit down and take some notes on this, because if you implement everything that I'm about to tell you, you'll be able to craft any sort of magic ritual that you want personalized for you at any time, for any category. Love magic, money magic, personal power magic, health magic. We're going to get into all of it, and we're going to talk about all of it. Okay? So, first and foremost, you have to understand that all magic is subconscious reprogramming, because your subconscious mind is what creates your reality. You are projecting out of your subconscious mind your physical reality. Right? This is why I say magic is the fastest way to change your reality. It is not the only way, but it is the most potent way of rewiring your subconscious mind. Because what magic does, and our ancestors knew this for thousands and thousands of years, that's why they did it, but what magic and ritual does is speak directly in the language of the subconscious mind. So all of the modern manifestation techniques are using conscious mind tools to try to basically flood the subconscious, right? Like when you're doing a ton of affirmations, what you're doing is taking a conscious mind tool, an affirmation, speaking in our language, just saying a sentence, in English or whatever the fuck you're using, I guess, but just saying your sentence and then saying it over and over and over and over and over again to try to flood your subconscious mind to say, hey, this is important, pay attention, subconscious mind, right? What magic does is it basically instantly interests your subconscious mind, because it's in the language of the subconscious. English is not the language of the subconscious. The language of the subconscious is symbolism. That's what the subconscious mind loves. That's what the subconscious mind is super into. That's what turns on the subconscious mind. So if you want to speak directly to your subconscious mind, symbolism is the fastest way to do that. That's how you woo it. That's how you get it to pay attention. That's why magic works so well, because you are utilizing symbolism. The candle, using the element of fire, that's a symbol. If you're doing water magic, water, that's a symbol. It represents something to the subconscious mind. The color of the candle that you choose is a symbol. The herbs that you sprinkle around it is a symbol. Okay, the music that you have playing is a symbol. The deity that you choose to work with is a symbol. All of it is symbolism that is speaking to your subconscious mind and telling your subconscious mind, hey, this is what I want you to project into my reality. Right? So let's just jump right in. Let's just get started. Okay, what are some symbols that can be used for love and attraction magic? Okay, now as we get into these, what I want you to do, this is so important, what I want you to do is think about what comes to mind for you when you think of love and attraction, because that is the most important thing. Your subconscious is what you're working with. So when you have like a gut instinct that you're like, I don't know why, but for some reason, like cherries really remind me of like love and relationships. Love and relationships, I have an association with cherries. Pay attention to that. Okay. Now you can totally use and should totally use like what our ancestors have figured out and used as symbols for these things for thousands of years. It's like a cheat sheet, right? But what this video is meant to do is teach you how to access this on your own for any specific working. Because sometimes we have things that are not super basic. Like, of course, you can do like a love attraction spell to attract a certain person, right? Everybody's kind of had that experience where they just want to be with a certain person. But what if you're working the spell that you want to do is super niche. It's not just a basic everyday scenario. Well, that's where paying attention to this and learning about the symbolism can make it so that you can craft your own specific customized spell. Okay? So love and attraction magic. Colors. So like these would be the colors that you would choose for your candle, or the colors that you would use as an altar cloth, or the colors of the things that you're offering, right? When we say colors, just the colors that you would use in the working and the rite. Okay. Red, typically associated with passion. Now, this is what I'm going to do in this video. I'm going to explain why, to get you thinking individually about each specific thing so that you can learn the language of symbolism. Okay, I don't want you just to take a note and say red equals passion and just move on. Why does red equal passion? Because red is associated with fire, this bright, fiery color, right? Mars, Aries, it's all red association. And passion is this fiery feeling. It's this very intense, it burns bright. A passion is just like it overcomes, it overtakes. That's why red is associated with passion. Does that make sense? So when your subconscious mind, who has categorized everything in this reality via symbolism, sees red, it feels certain things. Red is a language to it. Red is intense, fiery, passionate. Red makes you hungry for something. It's the color of raw meat. Like, red is ferocious. It's the color of blood. It's the life force. So red is this very primal, intense color. So it's perfect to use in any sort of working or spell that has to do with passion, right? Or you want just like crazy, fiery, intense, passionate, knocking boots energy, you use red. Whereas pink is associated with romance. Now, why is pink associated with romance? Pink is that red color, but it's softened, right? It's a beautiful peony. It's softer. It's a little powdery. It's ease. It's longer lasting. It's not that bright burst of red. It's a softer. So it's romance. It's take a little time, get to know someone. Pink, you blush, it's pink. You feel so, you have butterflies in your stomach. It's all very pink energy, okay? What's so interesting is our ancestors, all they were doing was basically identifying a vibe. And if you think of it like that, if you start to think of your symbolism and using your symbolism to manifest your reality, if you start thinking about it in terms of just identifying a vibe, it's going to get so much easier for you. I guarantee you kick ass at identifying a vibe. So that's as easy as it is. All right. You have also think outside the box here when it comes to love and attraction, right? Green associated with fertility, abundance, okay, like a lasting love. Why is green associated with fertility? Because the spring, when everything is lush and new and being reborn, it's all very green. So green has this kind of long lasting, it's not an instant, everything pops up. No, it takes some time and it's long lasting and it lasts for seasons. That's green. Okay, so you can also use green in love and attraction magic. It just depends on the vibe that you're trying to attract. Okay, and you know the vibe. You know if you're trying to attract someone because you want this passionate, fiery fling, or if you're trying to attract someone that you hope to marry, or if you're trying to, attract just a friend, someone that you want to have a friendship connection with, you know the vibe that you're going for. So you can utilize the color that matches that vibe. All right. Same thing with herbs and plants. Rose, it's red, right? So back to the passion. It's beautiful. It takes a lot of tending to, right? So that's why it represents the vibe of love and passion. Okay. You also think, when you think of herbs and plants that represent love and attraction, it is a lot of flowers because they're pretty, they smell nice, they have a feminine energy. Okay. So jasmine, hibiscus, lavender, and they all have a slightly different vibe. Think of the vibe that lavender brings versus the vibe that a rose brings. Now think of the relationship you're trying to attract. Are you trying to attract rose energy, or are you trying to attract lavender energy? Because you need to communicate that to your subconscious mind, who is projecting your reality field, okay? You need to say, hey, subconscious mind, I'm looking for like fiery, passionate, I want this to be hot, I want this to be sexy. That's what you need to communicate. If you're saying subconscious, I want this to be long lasting fairy tale love, you need to communicate that to your subconscious when you are inputting the directive, which is what doing a magical spell is, right? It's inputting the directive. You're saying, hey, subconscious mind, pay attention, because this is exactly what I want you to project into my reality. Because the subconscious mind doesn't speak in terms of the conscious, it's very difficult for it to actually understand what you want, especially because we give it mixed signals constantly. When you sit there and bitch about something or whatever, and you're like kind of enjoying the bitch fest, your subconscious goes, okay, we're like getting into this, we're enjoying this. I guess she wants more of what she's bitching about, right? So when you're constantly feeding it mixed signals, it gets confused. So when you do a spell, when you do a ritual, you are saying, hey, subconscious, pay attention, because it's exactly in its language. You know, you're doing symbolism, you're doing theatrics, you're doing dramatics. It loves that. It's boom, right to attention, right paying attention, saying, okay, what's going on here? What do you want? And you're speaking in its language. It's like, oh, okay, bet, got it. This makes total sense to me. I know exactly what you want now. This makes sense. Okay. So think about it too in terms of actual symbols that you can incorporate in your workings, or whatever you're choosing to do. If you want to do modern manifestation techniques, you can still also keep this in mind. You can add these things onto the cover of your scripting journal, for example, or whatever it may be, right? But actual symbols that have to do with love and attraction: hearts, knots, apples, mirrors. Now think about all these things. What do they have to do with love and relationships? And why are they always kind of symbolically included in anything that has that vibe? Right? It's used in branding and marketing. Like, think about it. Think about why a mirror would be a good symbol to use for love or attraction. It's because you're saying, hey, I want this mirrored into my reality. I want my soul mirrored back to me. I want to find my other half, right? Like looking in a mirror. Knots. They're combining two things. You're combining two things. You're tying them together and making one thing. You know, that's why you call it tying the knot when you get married. Planets, the same thing. If you want to work with planetary energy while doing a working, that's a great way to include symbolism. You'd work with Venus or the moon for love and attraction, because they're feminine. They're about beauty. They're about love, right? Crystals, rose quartz, garnet, emerald, things that are associated with beauty, with desire. And again, the association with something like rose quartz versus garnet are very different. Rose quartz is more that pink, loving, long-lasting, sweet vibe. Garnet is more that dark, bad bitch, lustful vibe, right? So you can craft a totally different energy love spell just based on the symbolism that you use, the vibe that you're looking for. And this is also why it's so important to understand that symbolism is about the vibe, and not just take notes, not just Google and look up what's associated with love and then use whatever pops up, because it doesn't necessarily mean the love and specific situation that you're looking for. Okay, you have to be specific. You have to customize to what you're looking for. Okay, same thing with money and wealth magic. Let's move on to that. Gold. Obviously, why gold? Because we as humans view gold as very valuable. Okay, green, it's the same thing. Why is it associated with wealth, with abundance? Because spring, green, lush. For a long time, wealth had to do with crops, food, that lushness, right? Also, think outside the box here. Brown. Why? Because it's connected to earth and stability. Okay? And the element of earth is associated with long-term abundance, again, because for a long time it had to do with growing crops. And so there is all that association there, right? And you can even get into dark green versus light green. Do you want this long-lasting wealth, or do you want, quick cash? Same thing with the herbs and the plants. We have things like basil, right? Bay leaf, everybody's tried the bay leaf, that we write it on the bay leaf, blah, blah, blah. Cinnamon, everybody knows. Well, maybe you don't, actually, I shouldn't assume. But cinnamon, spicy, quick. You would add it for fast cash, right? Because it's powerful, it packs a punch, it's fast. It speeds things up. Where something like mint is cooler, slower, longer lasting. The taste of mint in your mouth lasts a long time, right? Symbolisms would be like keys and coins and cornucopias and wheat and bees, because they're always going out and collecting and harvesting and creating abundance. And so all of those things, they have slightly different vibes for bringing in a slightly different thing, right? Same thing with the crystals that you would use, like a pyrite or a citrine or a jade. They all have a slightly different. Pyrite kind of gives you this feeling of like, ooh, I have the wealth with me now. It's a little bit faster. It's a little bit more boom material. Jade gives you this almost generational feeling of like, wow, I own this like very kind of, hoity-toity type of thing that can be passed down. I have this carved jade, whatever, it's very generational. So if you're looking for more of generational wealth, that's what you would use. Now we get into personal power and protection. Black, it's always used for banishing, right? Why? Why does black work to banish? Because black comes the night. It banishes everything. The night falls, everything is gone to your eyes, right? Kind of banishes the world. So that's why black gets used for banishing. Red for strength, because again, it's that strong, it's that passion, it's that color of raw muscle. Purple for authority. It stands out. You don't see purple very often in nature. It's very rare, right? It stands out, it has some reality to it. Gold, again, it can be connected to sovereignty, to power, because it's worthy. It means something. You would use these kind of like stand out, pokey for protection herbs, right? So power and protection herbs would be things like rosemary, mugwort, dragon's blood, nettle, black pepper, things that have a little spice, a little poke, right? To protect. They have pointy edges sticking out. They protect. Symbols would be things that are also kind of pokey, kind of protective, right? Things like like snakes, serpents, swords, crowns. Crowns have that, the spikes upward, and they kind of represent like, you can't touch me, I'm protected. Fire, shields, things that are just naturally protective. And again, think of what makes you feel protected, what makes you feel powerful, because that means your subconscious mind has a correlation with that. And so it'll work really well in your workings. Planets you're going to work with for personal power, for protection. Obviously, you're going to think of things like Mars, right? The warrior planet. You can use Saturn for boundaries, for structure, because that's what Saturn rules. So your mind is going to have a correlation with that. The sun, it shines bright. It lights everything up. It's confidence. It's power. That's a great one for personal power, right? And then crystals, things that you would use for like protection and personal power. The protective ones are going to be oftentimes black, right? Absorbing that negative energy, because that's how we view blackness. Blackness is the night. It just kind of engulfs everything. And then you're safe in your bed while everything's been engulfed, right? So obsidian, tiger's eye, black tourmaline, things like that. Health, vitality, like, hopefully you're kind of getting the point now, right? But when we think of things like health and vitality, green is a very healing color, because it's that renewal, it's that rebirth, it's the spring, it's the growing new. Blue, what effect does blue have on you? Obviously depending on the shade, but it can be very calming, peaceful. It's the sky. It's this expansive ocean that goes on and just has this calm about it, because you can't even see the end to it. It's relaxing, right? White, we identify that with just purification, cleaning, cleansing. The clouds are white, right? These pure, puffy things up in the sky. White is just a clearing, a cleansing. Yellow holds that sun energy again. So if you're low energy, you want more vitality. Of course, you would harness the power of something that has a ton of vitality, like the sun. You're saying to your subconscious mind, I want power like the sun, right? Very easy for your subconscious mind to understand. When it comes to symbols for health and vitality, it would be things like water and the egg, right? The egg is this like rebirth, renewal, fertility, health. The spiral, because it goes on and on. And you want to work with like the sun for its vitality, the moon for its cycles. Mercury is great for the nervous system. This is where you start to think a little bit creatively, right? Why Mercury in the nervous system? Mercury is about communication. The nervous system is communicating throughout your entire body. It's taking little messages around your entire body. You can think of it as a little tiny Mercury floating around your body, delivering little messages, right? So working with Mercury is a great way to tell your subconscious mind, hey, healing in the nervous system. When it comes to any of these things, right? Any sort of love, health, wealth, protection, if you want to increase your psychic powers, anything that you can think of that you want to change in your life and your reality, the quickest, the fastest way to do it is to utilize the proper symbolism, because that is how you're telling your subconscious mind directly, hey, listen up. This is what I want. Okay. So I hope that helped. I hope that got your brain juices flowing and got you thinking that like, hey, this is way easier than I thought. It literally all is just about a vibe. All I'm trying to do when I do magic to create my reality is just to speak directly to my subconscious mind via vibe. The whole goal is just to, as accurately and as intensely as possible, get that vibe communicated because the subconscious mind speaks in vibe. Okay? So I hope that helps, and we'll get into more next time. Bye.